Hello and welcome to the Catch a Lift Coaches Corner. I am Cal Coach Melissa, and this week I'm honored to welcome retired U.S. Marine Corps Gunnery Sergeant Carnell Martin, retired U.S. Marine Corps veteran Robert Dominguez, and retired U.S. Army Sergeant Jason Smith to the show. Today we will be discussing the 2021 Warrior Games. Welcome to this week's episode of the Coaches Corner. Welcome, guys. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
So good to see you all. Let's start off today by just doing some introductions. Jason, do you want to hit it off for us?
Absolutely, yeah. My name is Jason Smith. I served in the Army from 2009 to 2014. In 2012, I stepped on an IED and I lost both my legs. After retirement, I put a lot of focus into fitness, and at around 2017, I became part of the Cal family.
Thank you, Jason. Rob?
My name is Robert Dominguez, United States Marine Corps. Served in the infantry, suffered from post-traumatic stress and a back injury. I served until 2007 to 2019.
Thank you, Rob. Carnell?
My name is Colonel Martin, United States Marine. I served from 1987 to 2017. Served in three wars. Served in Iraq, Afghan. Suffered my first traumatic brain injury in 2003, and then my second in 2007. I joined Catch a Lift roughly 6 years ago. Now I'm a Cal coach.
Thank you, Carnell, and thank you all for your service to our great country and for joining us today. So we are so pumped to talk to you all about the Warrior Games. Carnell, I want to start with you. Can you explain to us what the Warrior Games are and what their purpose is?
Yes, Warrior Game is designed and created for combat injured service members from all branches of service. It was created to give those injured, ill, or sick military individuals another platform to continue competing. And the DoD came up with the Warrior Games. To be eligible for the Warrior Games, of course, you got to be combat injury. And there's two levels of getting to the Warrior Games. One is getting your local trials. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines all have their initial trials. And from trials, and then you're selected from the top athletes from the trials to participate in the Warrior Games. In the Warrior Games, it's adapted athletes competing in Olympic style sports. You have your swimming, archery, track and field, to cycling, to powerlifting, seated volleyball, seated wheelchair, rugby, just to name a few. And it's all about competition, also come together as a band of brothers, competing and fighting to win, but also developing friendship that lasts for a lifetime. So that's a little gist on what the Warrior Games are. And also, if you're interested in getting into your local trials and becoming a Warrior Game athlete, I would say get with your service adaptive sports coordinator. Each branch has its own coordinators.
Wonderful. Thank you for telling us about it, Carnell, and also how to get involved as veteran athletes. So I want to shift gears here just a tad. So Carnell, you touched on that, right? Like there's trials before the games even begin. So I want to start with you, Jason, and two questions here. Number one, well, let's just start with this one first. Why did you decide to compete this year in the Warrior Games?
So I decided to try my hat at the Warrior Games because a few years ago I remember speaking to Carnell, and I was I'm gonna use the word enamored by his success and
for sure
the level that he was on, fitness wise, and I was just like, this is amazing. Warrior Games, why have I never heard of it? This is so cool. And he put me in touch with the right people, and I kind of just pushed it to the side for a long time. But during COVID, there was a time where I decided to just try, see what would happen. And I applied. I was a really late entry. I applied the last day you could do it. And
oh, wow.
it was so cool. Yeah. and I just really wanted to see where I stood with the other veterans, the other adaptive athletes.
Jason, talk to us a little bit about what Army trials were like for you this year.
So Army trials were very weird. As with COVID again, everything was kind of make it up as you go in a sense. It was all video. I had a certain time I had to be in front of a Zoom call, and I would do my events in front of the Zoom call. There were a lot of events that I'd never done before, but I was able to make the team on those, and it was really neat to be a part of that.
That's awesome. Rob, what originally kind of inspired you or pushed you to pursue competing in the Warrior Games?
Just, when I was at the Wounded Warrior Battalion, and I seen all the other service members that were, talking about it, doing training, going to practices, and, going to coaches. Like all service members are competitive, and when they said that, you can compete against other branches of service and, potentially have a chance to, beat them out. And I was already stoked about that because, it's a lot of fun and camaraderie, and I wanted to give it a shot. A lot of sports that I've never done before that was interesting, like archery, shot put, just running track or whatever. It was just something that it was interesting. And then I felt like it'll be challenging for me just getting back into the fight.
Oh, absolutely. Rob, will you touch on for us kind of what Marine Corps trials were like this year?
Well, this year for veterans, we weren't able to participate due to COVID. So I didn't participate in the trials. I did do a small camp that was for about a week, and did some training there and some practices. But as far as trials, we didn't get to do a full trials for veterans. They didn't cover that for traveling, but it was the little week that we had. We did get the days in and getting whatever we can done to prepare ourselves for the Warrior Games.
That's awesome. Carnell, I want to swing it to you, and you're a Warrior Games pro as a competitor for a number of years. Talk to us a little bit about the decision to coach this year.
Well, the decision to coach this year was really not my first instinct or thing to do. Once I made the Invictus game, there is a rule that once you make the next level, your Warrior Games status is no longer. With that being said, I still knew I wanted to compete, and coaching is also competing in a sense of form, because I get my motivation, my competition through my athletes. If they achieve, I'm achieving. If they get a personal record, I'm getting a personal record, and that's my victory. So when I knew I couldn't compete and I had the opportunity to coach, that was a no-brainer because I was still in the competition.
That's absolutely terrific. Jason, so something you and I had multiple conversations about kind of through the spring and into the summer as, you first started kind of preparing for Warrior Games and all that entailed was that there was going to be a multitude of events that you would potentially participate in, including events you'd never really trained for or had history with. Will you talk to us a little bit about what it was like preparing for the Warrior Games with the multitude of disciplines you were going to be competing in?
Yeah, it was very interesting. Again, all of our training, like Rob said, it wasn't covered in travel, so everything was through Zoom. I was able to get on the basketball, track and field team, swimming, bench press, rowing, and a few others. And for the training, outside of rowing and bench, it's kind of touch and go. I know I remember I trained a lot with the shot put, and I've never thrown a shot put before. I found myself watching YouTube videos left and right. Shot put is a very explosive event, so you just had to find out how to get that explosive energy. So I worked a lot on my shoulders, just strengthening my weak parts there. But it was really cool to be a part of that. I found a new love for shot put and discus as well, and it made me want to try out for the local rugby team as well. We have one in Nashville, and I'm about an hour and a half away from there.
That's outstanding. Good for you, Jason. Rob, I want to swing over to you. Same question. What was it like, or what's it been like for you preparing for multiple events that are, I don't mean to say like all over the board, like what are they? But, you can go from archery to powerlifting. I mean, what's it like to prepare like that when you have, events that are encompassing so many different modalities?
You just gotta prepare yourself mentally. There's certain things and muscles you're going to utilize for bench press, and then that you won't use for the archery, and like the explosiveness in your shoulders and your legs throwing that shot put, and you have to learn to be adaptive, and just being able to put your mind in that mindset. And what's unique is when you're doing these sports and you've never done them before, mentally it helps you out because you get your mind off of other things, and you're learning this new thing, and you're starting to fall in love with it. And when you start to do it, now you've for like 30-40 minutes at practice, you've got to put everything else behind. And when you get another sport, it's the same thing. And then you want to do so many sports because it's helping you mentally to get stronger and learn how to keep moving. And for me, it's all mental. Just when I'm at archery, focuses on archery. When I leave there and I go to bench press to be Jason, I just I'm there and I'm focused on bench press.
I like the low key dig thrown in there. Hopefully everyone caught that.
No,
love
he
it,
definitely
love
got me.
Yeah.
He got me.
Jason heard it. We know.
But yeah, mentally prepared.
Yeah.
That's it.
Rob, in a week, kind of, how much time would you say you were putting into a specific event, or did it just kind of depend on the event that you were dealing with?
I've trained all year long. I've been training for a couple years to try to get to the Warrior Games because of the COVID had stopped the 2020,
Right.
and the year before that I didn't make the team, and so that's 2 years that I was training and trying to make that team. Well, a lot of the sports I don't have the equipment. I don't have a bow. I don't have the rifle. Things like that. So bench press with Carnell, we train over there on the gym on base, and I think a lot of the bench press working out helped me with all the other stuff. I did have a shot put. I would put some time off on my own, but whatever I can do, I did the best that I can. Like Jason said, going on YouTube, learning how to throw a shot put. Doing all those spins and stuff, it wasn't happening. But I just learned to grab it and toss that thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just whatever time that I could. I mean, I put a lot of time in that bench press. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob. Carnell, on the coaching end, how do you kind of manage time with these athletes? Because again, just like that, they are competing multiple events, and each event is unique to itself and brings its own physical and mental stresses to the body. How did you kind of handle that on a coaching end?
Yes, like Rob said, COVID threw a lot of wrenches in our training plan. But when we had the opportunity to train, we would train mostly on our weakness, because Rob is a strong in powerlifting. So I really wanted him to focus on those areas that he was weak in. Getting some training with the bow, getting some training in with the shot put, getting some training in with the discus, and just try to manage the wear and tear on those type of sports and techniques, and like I said, concentrate more on the weaker part of the events. And then as we got closer to his number one sport, because you got to remember, some of these athletes played 5 different sports, and most of the time you're only really good and really medal in maybe your top sport.
Right.
So I wanted I wanted to make sure Rob was ready for powerlifting. And then those last 3, maybe 2 months, that's when we really start pounding the powerlifting and honing in on those skills, but still fine tuning the other sports, but making sure we're keeping an eye on the prize, which was the powerlifting. But being Rob, he excelled in all of them. I think he medaled. He got a PR in powerlifting. He medaled in shot put and discus and rowing. So he knocked it out the park. Just being himself and training the right way.
That's tremendous. Thank you, Carnell. So, as you've all mentioned and we've hit on, so COVID has obviously thrown multiple wrenches into the Warrior Games through 2020 and into 2021. And one of the things I was really kind of blown away by was, watching from the outside, y'all prepare. And early in the year, it was like, well, is it going to happen at all? Then, yes, it was going to happen. There was going to be a live physical event. You guys were preparing for that, obviously, in a very intense, thorough way. You were planning on a couple weeks. You were going to be down, in Florida for the games. Right at the last minute, that changed, and it became a virtual event. Jason, I want to start with you again. Talk to us a little bit about just in general, the uncertainty of the games throughout this year, but then really at the end, having to switch gears and no, it's no longer in person, it's a virtual event. What was that like mentally and physically?
It was devastating. And I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but you got to think a lot of these veterans that do these games, I mean, this is like their one shot to get back in, like Rob said, with that camaraderie, get back in with their brothers and sisters and compete against these other branches. And initially, actually, they told us it was canceled, and
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, they said that came 2 weeks after or a week after Afghanistan. So one after another was just like, it was just devastating.
Yeah,
to us.
it was huge hits one after another.
Yeah, so mentally, I was broken. I actually quit training for about 4 days. I sunk into myself, and that's just a personal thing I did. But when they brought it back virtually, that brought new light to the darkness, and there was some learning curves and stuff like that through getting on with the Zoom calls to compete. I know I had trouble getting into a couple events, but they made it happen, and I don't think the people who run it understand how much it meant to us to continue the game.
Thank you, Jason. Rob, talk to us about that, the uncertainty of the games this year. It's on, it's live, it's canceled. Now it's back on virtual. What was that like?
It was devastating. Like I said, I didn't make it to the 2019 or the 2020. And then this was the shot that another year of training, and
right.
It hurt, but I know they had to do what they had to do. But I was really grateful that they were doing virtual training, and we were able to still compete because I don't know. I had a really a hard time just trying to figure out what I was going to do with all that. I had to let it out somewhere, and I'm grateful that they were able to do it virtually and being able to see other individuals out there doing the same thing. And it wasn't the same because there's no one out there cheering, and wheelchair basketball or rugby is a good one, and it's fun to watch volleyball and everyone going crazy, but it got done, and we found a way. I think John Stewart said it, find a way. Yeah. And we were able to find a way and make it happen. And it was good. It felt good to let that out and not hold it, because for another year of trying to hold that in and keep training, I probably would have just did too much work and I wouldn't be prepared. So I'll just keep training again and wait for next year.
Thank you, Rob. Carnell, talk about this on the coach end, working with your athletes. How did you approach it with them to be able to, keep your head in the game still, and even, that time period when you thought it was completely canceled and then now it's back on virtual, how did you keep their heads into the game and keep them motivated to keep pushing forward?
Yeah, it was very heartbreaking to work up to that point, and then 2 weeks prior to going into competition, they just shut it down. Because as athletes, you can only turn it on and turn it off
Yeah.
for so long.
That's so difficult.
It's and just personally working with the athletes, I know how much time they put in, how much they really wanted to be in live, in live doing the events and competing against other services. Uh, just to see the pain in their eyes, um, really, we really came together as a team. We stayed connected, by text. We had group text. We kept giving encouragement. Lucky for us, we have three out of the four athletes from the West Coast here locally, and we were still going.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Just preparing, just staying connected, just bonding. Sometimes we just go in there, we just talk, just talk about the day. And then we got the word that there was going to be a virtual. We were really pumped, so we start turning up the training even more. And then once that happened, and it was complete, I could see the fire and the competition in their eyes, and just the victory that they had. That's what touched me. Just knowing that they got to compete was really special.
I bet it was. That's so terrific that it was able to happen in the end with that virtual event. Let's break down those events. Jason, I want to start with you. Take us through the events you competed in, and really anything you're comfortable kind of sharing with what the results were and how it went for you, what that experience was like. One sec there, Jason. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I
You're
went
good.
from doing a lot of events to only doing 2 events, and the 2 events were bench press and rowing. Um, it was exciting to be able to compete, but I know I voiced my concerns with Carnell and Robert because they were doing it correctly. Their sanctions were correct. They had people, going and going the presses.
Okay.
Whereas Team Army, we were kind of touch and go. They let us submit our own videos from home, and I was nervous, but I ended up doing pretty good on bench and rowing. I know in the bench in my weight class, I took home first or gold, and I say that with an asterisk. And then I placed in rowing as well in the 1 minute for my 2.0 class, and I got gold for that as well.
Congratulations, Jason. What's next for you, Jason? What are you looking to now that these games are finished?
Well, I've been very, very vocal about how I want to compete with my catch and lift brothers, and my goal, honestly, is to make it on the Warriors games, and then try and make Invictus, because I'd love to be on the same stage with Carnell and Roberts. That would mean a lot to me. It would be more to me to do that than any personal accolade.
Thank you, Jason, and congratulations on your performance at the Warrior Games. Absolutely tremendous. We are so very happy for you. Rob, same thing. Would you kind of break down the events that you did compete in and kind of let us know how that went? Anything that you're willing to share about it?
Yes, I did shot put, powerlifting. I did, archery, rowing, and there was one more. And we did track. A lot of the sports, typically there's 8 sports that I was going to do, but the cycling was on a stationary bike. Okay. And also there was a swim, but I decided just to go with the other ones that I was a little bit weaker at, and I think I did pretty good in most of those events. It was really fun. Like I said earlier about the powerlifting, it was really awesome because Jason and I are in the same weight class, and so when the first initial score came out and it said that I placed up there, I was so excited. And then the next day, the official came out and Jason knocked me off. And he came in there and took gold. But that stuff right there is fun. That's
Yeah.
exciting. In archery, I did pretty good. What? I didn't look at those. I think it was maybe bronze. I took silver in the shooting for the rifle, and that was interesting because those little rifles are something else, and they're very
Yeah,
sensitive.
that's a different animal, right?
Yes, it is,
Yeah.
and it's just this Olympic style rifle. Shoots the pellets, and it's very, very, very sensitive. And I took silver in that. But shot put, I took gold. I think I threw 12 and a half yards, I believe. But the sports it's just a whole bunch of fun. I mean, I had a really good time, and I continue to stay engaged with it and want to keep going in those sports. I want to keep getting better at shot put. Now I know where I'm at in this Warrior Games virtually, and hopefully, God willing, I will be at the Warrior Games next year, and hopefully, Invictus one day. So I have a goal, and I want to meet it, and I want to be there.
Heck yeah, that's tremendous, Rob. And congratulations on your outstanding performance at the games. We are also very happy for you too. You guys crushed it. Absolutely incredible. Carnell, what was it like watching these Warriors? It's been the last 2 years have been nuts. This year, we've already described what it's been like, and like what Jason touched on the beginning too, right? This came only a couple weeks after Afghanistan. Everyone, was very raw from that. What was it like for you watching these incredible Warriors compete?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Robert has been a little bashful. He didn't tell you.
Yeah, I
about
figured.
that.
Why don't you give us the full story there?
Yeah,
To
well,
fill in the
Robert-
gaps for us.
Robert was selected from our Marine Corps team to represent the Marine Corps as the ultimate champion. So he was going to compete live in 8 different sports, which is brutal.
Yeah.
It's not like you getting a day's rest, whatever. You're doing 8 different sports. You're doing 8 training days on each sport. So it's brutal. So I was amazed on how they train and how they perform. Jason getting thrown in there 4 days in competition, just knocking it out the box. Man, I'm so proud of you, man. And they both will be in Invictus next year, I guarantee.
Yeah.
2023.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that. Yeah.
So it was amazing. I was the #1 fan. I was rooting for both of them. It was no other way. Cal family, Cal athletes, and again, my brother. So I'm so proud of him.
Absolutely. We all are. It's absolutely tremendous. Again, you guys, congratulations, truly. And this is a good place too for us to kind of segue over. And I want to talk about catch a lift a little bit, and we'll just round robin it back around. Jason, starting with you, and you touched on it in the beginning. Jason, how has the Catch a Lift Fund impacted your life?
It's impacted me in many ways. One, through confidence. 2, through resources. And through confidence, I mean, there was a time in my rehab, or after rehab, after I retired, I was going to the local gym, and being a double amputee, you get those looks. They're not judging you, but they're kind of like, oh, I wonder what he went through. And you had a lot of people come and talk to you and stuff like that. And mentally, I wasn't ready for that yet. And initially, Catch a Lift Fund gifted me a rower. And I wore that thing out. I actually broke it this year. Like during the trials, I broke it because I was so crazy. And so that confidence right there, and then resources. I never would have met Carnell, and I never would have pushed myself to apply for the Warrior Games had I not met Carnell. He gave me the I wouldn't say courage, but he made me believe in myself more than I really did, and like I said, I wouldn't have been there without them. I've met so many veterans through Catch a Lift. There's so many extended family that I have now, because I'm at an age where I choose my family. And I'm blessed to call you, Carnell, and Robert family. It's just so much good work going on through Catch a Lift, and I'm thankful for it every day.
Jason, I have one last question for you today. What does it mean to you to be a Catch a Lift Fund veteran athlete?
There's pride in that. Pride in that our method is proven and effective, that it helps veterans. It helps them mentally and physically. I wouldn't say that people look up to me, but I would like for them to see, veterans like Robert and I and Carnell who are in the program. Let them see that, their dreams are achievable. They're only dreams unless you try. If you don't try, so you have to try. It's such an honor to be, part of the Cal family, and for me to be able to see all these other veterans grow mentally and physically. I just love it.
Thank you, Jason. Rob, talk to us about how Catch a Lift has impacted your life.
Cal's impacted my life by making me feel a part of something again. Being a part of a family of service members of every branch, and being able to connect with people from all over the world, and having someone that I can call to whenever. I don't think there hasn't been one time that I haven't been able to reach out to someone in Cal and they were never there for me. Whether it was a t-shirt or something to prepare for the Warrior Games, you guys have always been there for me. And this year, I was in need of a rower to prepare because I mentioned earlier I didn't have a bow, I didn't have this stuff. And, I got a rower and I was hitting that thing hard, and it really prepared me. And I beat my record where I wanted to because of that. And, I'm just so grateful that I have a place and I have people I can call and be there for me whenever I need.
Rob, what does it mean to you to be a Catch a Lift Fund veteran athlete?
It's an honor to be, an athlete and be a part of this organization because, like I said, it's service members from all branches, and we become one. And even though me and Jason were competing against each other, we come back to Cal, and here we are. Yeah. We're a team. We're strong. We're here, and we're pushing forward, and we're going to be touching people's lives. And it's all about being, a family. And I'm just super grateful for that.
Thank you so much, Rob. Beautifully said. Carnell, how has the Catch a Lift Fund impacted your life?
Catch a Lift Fund has been a plethora of resources, not only with health and wellness, but resources of men. Just to see the individuals I coach, Jason, Rob, just to see their growth is all because of Catch a Lift. It's just like having that squad again. You're getting those young PFCs, those young privates, being older, veteran as myself, and just coaching them and just seeing their progression. It's all because of Cal. So
that's tremendous.
Resources and definitely family. It's giving me that family away from home that I know Cal has my back no matter what. Win, lose, or draw, I always got Cal.
And one last question to wrap up the day, Carnell. What does it mean to you to be a Catch a Lift Fund veteran athlete?
Oh, it means the world to me. Cal's, when I put on a Cal t-shirt, it's touches the heart.
Yeah.
Not only as a Cal coach, but Cal athlete. So when I'm training, I'm Cal all the way. I know Cal has my back, and as long as they have my back, I can't lose. So
100%. Thank you, Carnell. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Carnell. Thank you, Rob. First of all, thank you all again so very much for your service to our great country. Thank you for all you do to continue to give back to the veteran population. And thank all three of you so very much for coming on today and sharing your light with us all. Absolutely tremendous. That's it for this week's episode of Coach's Corner. Thank you, Jason, Rob, and Carnell. We'll see you guys again very soon and look forward to talking more. Huge thank you to ID Technologies for your support of all things Catch a Lift and this podcast. Thank you to Lynn Coughlin, Henry Pomper, and Kaylee Nasiri for all the work you do week after week to make this podcast possible. And thank you to the entire Catch a Lift team. Until next week, keep it real and stay Cal strong.